Ananjanashalakaya Chakshramritam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Reading from the book. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta speaking sometimes in English and sometimes in Bengali and sometimes quoting the Sanskrit verses of the Bhagavad Gita spoke of Sri Krishna as the highest Vedic authority. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has declared that a person should give up whatever duty he considers religious and surrender unto him. The personality of God, the personality of Godhead, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Saranam Raja, and Srimad Bhagavatam confirm the same thing. Dharma Projahida Kaitavo Traparamo Nirmastranam Sadam. All other forms of religion and impure should be thrown out, and only Bhagavad Dharma performing one's duties to please the Supreme Lord should remain. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta's presentation was so great, so cogent, that anyone who accepted Shastras would have to accept his conclusion. The people were now faithless, said Bhakti Siddhanta, and therefore they are no longer believed that devotional service could remove all anomalies, even on the political scene. He went on to criticize anyone who was ignorant of the soul and yet claimed to be a leader. He even cited names of contemporary leaders and pointed out their failures, and he emphasized the urgent need to render the highest good to humanity by educating people about the eternal soul, the soul's relation to Krishna and devotional service. Abhay had never forgotten the worship of Lord Krishna or his teachings in Bhagavad Gita, and his family had always worshipped Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, whose mission Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was espousing. As his Gaudiya Mat, people worship Krishna. He also had worshipped Krishna throughout his life and had never forgotten Krishna. But now he was astounded to hear the Vaishnava philosophy presented so masterfully. Despite his involvement in college, marriage, the national movement, and other affairs, he had never forgotten Krishna. But Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was now stirring up with him his original Krishna consciousness. And with the words of his spiritual master, not only was he remembering Krishna, but he felt his Krishna consciousness being enhanced 1,000 times, a million times. What had been unspoken in Abhay's boyhood, what had been vague in Jagannath Puri, what he had been distracted from a college, what he had been protected in by his father now surged forth with Abhay in responsive feelings, and he wants to keep it. He felt himself defeated, but he liked it. He suddenly realized that he had never before been defeated. But this defeat was not a loss, it was an immense gain. Srila Prabhupada, I was from a Vaishnava family, so I could appreciate what he was preaching of. Of course, he was speaking to everyone, but he found something in me, and I was convinced about his argument and mode of presentation. I was so much struck with wonder. I could understand. Here is a proper person who can give a real religious idea. It was late. Abhay and Naren had been talking with him for more than 2 hours. One of the brahmacharis gave them each a bit of prasadam in their open palms, and they rose gratefully and took their leave. They walked down the streets and onto the street. The night was dark. Here and there a light was burning, and there were some open shops. Abhay pondered in great satisfaction what he had just heard. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta's explanation of the independence movement as a temporary, incomplete cause had made a deep impression on him. He felt himself less a nationalist and more a follower of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. He also thought that it would have been better if he were not married. The great personality was asking him to preach. He could have immediately joined, but he was married, and to leave his family would be an injustice. Walking away from the ashrama, Naren turned to his friend. So, Abhay, what was your impression? What do you think of him? He's wonderful, replied Abhay. The message of Lord Chaitanya is in the hands of a very expert person. Srila Prabhupada, I accepted him as my spiritual master immediately, not officially, but in my heart I was thinking that I had met a very nice, saintly person. After his first meeting with Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Abhay began to associate more with the Gaudiya Math devotees. They gave him books and told him the history of their spiritual master. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was one of the 10 children born to Bhaktivinoda Thakura, a great Vaishnava teacher in the disciplic line from Lord Chaitanya himself. Before the time of Bhaktivinoda, the teachings of Lord Chaitanya had been obscured by teachers and sects falsely claiming to be followers of Lord Chaitanya, but deviating in various drastic ways from his pure teachings. The good reputation of Vaishnavism had been compromised. Bhaktivinoda Thakura, however, through his prolific writings and through his social position as a high government officer, re-established the respectability of Vaishnavism. He preached that the teachings of Lord Chaitanya were the highest form of theism and were intended not for a particular sect or religion or nation, but for all the people of the world. He professed that Lord Chaitanya's teaching would go worldwide, and, and he earned for it. The religion preached by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is universal and not exclusive. The principle of Kirtan as the future church of the world invites all classes of men, without distinction of caste or clan, into the highest cultivation of the spirit. This church, it appears, will extend all over the world and take the place of all sectarian churches, which excludes outsiders from the precincts of the mosque, church, or temple. Lord Chaitanya did not advance himself to liberate only a few men of India. Rather, his main objective was to emancipate all living entities of all countries throughout the entire universe and preach the eternal religion. Lord Chaitanya says in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, in every town, country, and village, my name will be sung. There is no doubt that this unquestionable order will come to pass. Although there is still no pure society of Vaishnavas to be had, yet Lord Chaitanya's prophetic words will in a few days come true. I'm sure. Why not? Nothing is absolutely pure in the beginning. From imperfection, purity will come about. Oh, for that day when the fortunate English, French, Russian, German, American people will take up banners, mridangas, and kartals and raise kirtan through the streets and towns. When will that day come? Prabhuji, I would like to stop here and start the chanting. Srila Prabhupada